Good morning, Imran Khan. It's great to see you this morning. I last saw you for drinks a couple of weeks ago. You got me caught up on Verishop a little bit, but I remember you from your days as a media and internet analyst. You went on to work on one of the biggest IPOs in history, Alibaba, as a banker. Then you went to Snap as chief strategy officer, where in the space of 4 years, the company basically went from zero to $1.6 billion in revenue. Everybody was wondering, what on earth is Imran Khan going to do next? And you showed us. You're now at Verishop. You are the CEO, you're the co-founder. Tell us a little bit about what the inspiration was for launching this company. And for people who are maybe not familiar, tell us what it is and what it does.
Yeah, first of all, Claire, great to see you. I can't believe how long we know each other. So thanks for moderating it. I appreciate it. So Verishop is the largest direct-to-consumer independent and emerging brand platform. This is the place where you can find all sorts of different DTC independent and emerging brands that are doing between, $500,000 to $20 million revenue in fashion, home, and beauty category. And our goal is to help those independent and emerging brands thrive by helping consumers discover those brands. The inspiration of starting this business really rooted into 6-7 years ago. One of the things I was observing that we are seeing an explosion of these emerging brands. There are a lot of people have a great product vision and they're building this incredible product with great promises, because at the end of the day, what is a brand? A brand is a promise. And we're seeing that, globalization and a lot of technology innovation, it's making it easier for people who has a great product idea building this incredible product. But the challenge was, it was very difficult for those small businesses, these independent and emerging brands, to tell their stories and to get discovered from like-minded audience. These small businesses, they're doing $500,000 to $20 million revenue. They don't have enough resources to buy ad on Facebook and Google and Snapchat and Pinterest. It's very, very complicated. And they didn't have enough resources to do PR. They didn't have enough resources to have live streaming. So we wanted to build a platform where all these independent brands can call their home and consumers can come in one place and discover the coolest brands that's out there now.
Tell us, what can you buy on Verishop? Give us some examples of the kind of products that are sold there.
Yeah, so, my favorite category is home. I think, there are some really interesting brands like Hawkins, which is a Brooklyn-based retailer, and they have made this incredible kitchen product. So if you're into during this COVID, I really got into cooking, and they have great products there. I recently found this amazing Japanese slippers. This emerging brands that's building into the slippers. There's a lot of products in the in your everyday clothing and fashion. And if you're into beauty, we now have the largest clean beauty sections in the marketplace for hundreds of emerging brands. So now we have over 3,000 independent brands that are on our platform. So from your beauty need to your fashion need to your home, you can find everything here.
Did you have like an aha moment in creating the business? Were you shopping for something? Like, what was the inspiration behind the business case? Obviously, you saw a good business model here, but can you tell us about that revelation where you're like, oh my God, we have to do this?
Yeah, so I always wanted to buy product where that their mission is aligned with my mission and my belief about the world, and try not to buy these commoditized large big brands, and really support the small businesses. And really there is no place to discover those brands. I would come across those products in the social media platform, and the challenge with the social media, one, a lot of times I don't have intent at that time to buy, so I wanted to go back and find it. I couldn't find it anymore. Second is, a lot of times I try to buy them. I'm sure many of you in the audience have that problem. You buy the product and then you forget about it, and 3 months later it somehow shows up, and then you're like, why, when did I buy it? And then if you have any issue, you don't know who to call. You have to sort through your thousands of emails trying to figure out which receipt you got. And then if you're trying to return the product and you find out it was shipped from Australia or something like that, and it cost you more to ship back, then so those pain points were really, really painful. And so I would find like really, really interesting brands, but I couldn't trust to buy those brands because I didn't have reviews, I didn't know how all those things work. So I think it was a really, really, how can you solve this consumer desire? 91% of US consumers are looking for new brands and new products, and at the same time, how can you match those consumer desire with those hundreds of thousands of independent and emerging brands who are building product with great promise with the consumer? And so that's the marketplace, right? We are
Yeah.
connecting the people who are looking for those independent and emerging brands with the brands who has a great story. But the beauty of our platform is that when you buy from different product, they're all single cart experience. If you check out and purchase from us, Verishop do the stop loss. So if you ever had any product problem, you have to call one person, that is Verishop customer support. If you ever don't like the product, you have to return it. You have to call one person, that is Verishop. We manage all the operational thing so that you can have best in class shopping experience that you came to experience over the last 20 years.
Yeah, I think you're touching on it right there. But what is different about Verishop that perhaps a DTC brand couldn't get from a Facebook or an Instagram or an Amazon? You're clearly giving them a lot more back-end support. You mentioned PR. Tell us a little bit more about why a customer would come to you. Sorry, why a DTC brand would come to you.
Our mission is to help those independent brands thrive, and the way we look at it, that we are solving their business problem. So first problem is discovery, and that's why we create verishop.com, right? We now have millions of visitors visiting our platform, and consumers who come here with an intention to discover those independent brands. So the first problem is solving their discovery problem. Second thing is supporting them with their operational need, right? So we partnered with FedEx, we partnered with other large service providers and told them that, look, we now have over 3,000 brands on our platform, and we are adding 500 brands per month on our platforms. If you want to do business with us, if you want to do business with us, you can access those merchant base that you don't have access to, but you have to give these merchants a price point that you give to a larger brands, right? So we are negotiating on behalf of these brands, and by doing so, we are driving the cost down, because the second biggest challenge, in addition to being discovered, the cost for everything is very, very high for these independent and emerging brands, because they're doing small volume. And when you do small volume, guess what? You are paying 30, 40, 50% premium to a larger brand. And, and everybody talks about they want to support the small business, but they all want to tax the small business. They want to take more money from the small business. We're actually saving money for the small business because we are negotiating on behalf of them. And then the third thing we're launching now is the financing solution. So we brought in partners like Trustco, and a little bit through Verishop also. If you're a small business and you need small loan, you can get little financing from us. It's a pilot program we launched. So our vision is, this is a home for, we want to be the largest platform for independent direct-to-consumer and emerging brands. And we want to support those brands from getting discovery to their operational need, to their financing need, because if they're successful, their price point will be lower, they will be able to build better product, and our consumers will also win because they want to find the great product with the great price.
Yeah, I mean, these companies ultimately are the engine of economic growth in America. The DTC space is growing, changing. We've seen some falter. Casper is in the news at the moment. Can you tell us a little bit about what DTC brands face in terms of challenges? You mentioned that all these other pieces, people in the chain cut out revenue or take their piece of the profit. What else can you tell us about the state of kind of the DTC landscape right now?
Yeah, I think, a lot of times this DTC stories has been built with a false premise. I think at the end of the day, you, Claire, as a brand, you know, but you don't build your brand with your own blog. You partner with a distributor, like a newspaper, to build your brand, right? And this has been going on forever, right? That creators always partner with the distributors, and together they build a value, you know. And that doesn't mean a creator not going to have their own presence, you know. H&M, you know, people talk about DTC today as if it's completely new thing, you know, but H&M has that DTC store, Zara has that DTC store, but that doesn't mean that they are not in a mall, right? And so I think, you know, direct to consumer brands, you know, if they want to build their homepage, they should do it. But if you build an incredible homepage but you don't have the traffic, what's the point of it, right? And then the
Right.
second thing is building homepage is so, in my mind, 1990s. Think about all these influencers and the creators who are digital creators, right? They don't have their homepage. Their profile is their homepage, right? They're building their
Yeah.
profile on TikTok. They're profile building their profile on Instagram. They're building profile on Snapchat. That is their homepage, right? So I think the way I think about the Verishop is this platform for these DTC and independent brands. They can have their homepage if they want to. If they don't need to, they can set up a profile on Verishop and tell the story through our live streaming, through our content feed. We are creating all those things, you know, and then they can. But the other thing we do is there's a, you know, different software companies help you build website in 30 minutes, you know, and they do a fine job, but they don't really help you with, you know, driving traffic for you. They don't really help you. They don't go negotiate on behalf of you. That, you know, they charge you for everything. We are negotiating and anticipating all your need and negotiating on behalf of you. So we are the true partner of this direct to consumer and independent brands.
Yeah. So, I mean, the space, the numbers are astounding, aren't they? When you think about the e-commerce space, I have a stat here. By 2025, it's projected to be a $563 billion space. How you mentioned social and you mentioned the creator economy and how, you know, influencers are really bringing people to brands. Can you talk a little bit about how social e-commerce plays into your growth trajectory? Tell us how far we are away from social entertainment becoming a one-tap purchase. I was at an event with Mark Bezos, Jeff Bezos's brother, recently, and he shared that Jeff is looking at shoppable television. Talk to us about social commerce. Talk to us about how the entertainment universe plays into what we're buying.
Yeah. So what social it does is, it's at a core fundamentally, it helps people discover, right? You know, very early on, you know, people learn things through social, right? Your friends tell you something and you learn, aha, you know, and, or, you know, you were sitting in a group meeting and somebody mentioned something and you said, aha, you learn it. That social experience help you learn things, right? That's why you go to school and colleges, because, you know, a lot of times you learn from that social experiences. And, you know, in the digital world, when people are increasingly spending more and more time on digital world, you know, people are learning from those digital social experience. So what are those digital social experience? Digital social experience is, I'm watching a video, and that's why we're launching live stream, and we're giving these live streaming capabilities to our brands, to a lot of our influencers who are partnering with brands and creating content, because you are getting this digital social experience. Now you're hanging with a group of people and watching a piece of content, a piece of video, that you're experiencing that. On a digital world, people, you know, people browse, you know, and communication on digital world is becoming more and more visual, right? We learned that at Snapchat. People like to learn things from pictures, you know, and videos. And so we created this content feed where our brands, you know, our DTC brands can post all their contents, you know, and consumer can browse those content, and through computer vision learning, we help you discover product, right? We created, you know, the way we are having this call over Zoom, you know, we created this Zoom shopping experience that we call Shop Party. We actually have patent for that. I'm so excited about it, that you and I can shop together online, you know. So the reality is, you know, more and more time people are spending on online, and they are mimicking some of this physical experience on the digital world. And the way people learn things and discover things in a physical world, we have to replicate that in a for digital world. And that's what we're doing through our live streaming, through our shop party, through our shoppable feed, you know. And this is why I think that building a website is not the best way to only go, because now brands have to tell their stories through content. Every
Yeah.
brand has to become a publisher. That's, and I'm glad IAB is focusing on it. And if you are a publisher, we help you to get your content and distribute accurates everywhere.
Right. We only have a few minutes left, Imran, but I wanted to ask you a bit about China. Live shopping is a big thing there. What are you learning about what's happening in China? And then finishing up, tell us about how COVID changed the business model, if it did.
Yeah. So with regards to China, I think China has, very different, consumer behavior than US, and so I think, one thing we learned from China that, how the future might look like, right? As people spend more and more time online, what people are looking to discover things online and how people interact with online. But saying that US consumers are very different than the Chinese consumer, as they adopt online, they will react differently. Like, for example, the experience of shopping is very, very important in the US, right? Because Amazon trained you to get product fast very, very quickly, and so, people really care about single cart optimization. In the US, people actually are less impulse. They put things on a cart, so optimizing the cart is super important, right? So if they might see your content in 50 different places, but if there's no intent, they're not necessarily purchased. Also in the US, you are competing with physical world much significantly, right? Because in China, in tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, and tier 6 cities, retail is not built up. They don't have the big malls that they have in the US, So all of those things. So we think in the US e-commerce, it has to be as good, in terms of post-purchase experience as well as pre-purchase experience. So it's much harder, because of our infrastructure, because you can drive 10 minutes and go to a mall and have a fun experience. So we think we need to do that. And that's what some of the tools like Live and all things we're doing is great. And COVID, look, I think the COVID, what has done is moved a large group of audience who didn't shop before online, and obviously I completely expect that some of these people will go back to physical world, but the habit has changed and they will be much more receptive to continue to purchase online. And so I think online as a percentage of sales is high teen, I believe, will be 50%, in next 10 to 15 years, And
are we going to be buying more on our phones right now? There's a little bit of a lag, right, with mobile. There's people, Americans don't, or they buy stuff on their phones, but that's set to grow.
That is growing really, really fast. If you
Yeah.
look at our app, contribute low double-digit percentage of our sales. But even on the web, which represent 80% of our GMV, a large chunk of it is coming from mobile web. So people are using mobile web, and it's growing at a faster pace. And mobile is getting really, really faster. The phone you use today is faster than the people used to land Apollo 13 on the moon, right? So and I think that will continue to improve. And so I think the mobile shopping is the future.
Yeah. And so just back to COVID for 1 second, what was your own COVID experience and how did it change your business model? And are you seeing things coming back now?
Yeah, look, I think, our business is very diverse. On the COVID side, we saw during the COVID, our fashion business actually, had a tougher time, but our beauty and home business did really, really well. And now that post-COVID environment, we're seeing fashion business is growing at a triple-digit percentage, significantly higher triple-digit percentage and coming back at a really fast. So we have a diversified business and we try to support all of our merchants in different categories and make sure they get the highest exposure. And on a personal level, it was a very challenging. Haven't seen my parents for a long period of time, but at the same time, it was great to reconnect with the children.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. Verishop sounds like it's poised for great things, and you're behind it, so I'm sure it will do really well. Thank you so much for sharing the story. I feel like we could go on and talk much more about augmented reality and many other things. But for now, thank you for joining us, Imran Khan. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.